Every year, millions of people rush into January with plans, goals, resolutions, and strategies. And on the surface, that doesn't seem wrong. Planning is not unbiblical. Discipline is not unspiritual. But Scripture gives a very clear warning. It is possible to plan sincerely and still miss God completely. The problem is not that we plan, it's that we often plan before we pause. The Bible tells us that the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. That order matters. Many believers reverse it. They decide what they want their year to look like, then ask God to bless it. But biblical wisdom invites us to stop first, listen first, and align first. If you plan without discernment, your goals may look productive, while quietly pulling you away from God's actual direction. One of the reasons New Year goals fail so quickly is because they are often born out of pressure, not conviction. Pressure to improve, pressure to fix everything at once, pressure to prove something to others, or even to yourself. Scripture never shows God leading his people through pressure. He leads through clarity, obedience, and trust. Goals built on pressure exhaust the soul. Goals built on calling sustain it. Before God ever sent Moses to Pharaoh, he stopped him in the wilderness. Before Jesus began his public ministry, he withdrew to pray and fast. Before the apostles made major decisions, they waited, prayed, and listened. Biblically, movement always follows alignment. Speed without alignment leads to frustration, even when intentions are good. Another danger of planning too quickly is that unhealed areas from the previous season often shape the goals of the next one. We plan to escape pain instead of obey God. We set goals to compensate for insecurity, disappointment, or comparison. But Scripture teaches that what is born from the flesh cannot produce spiritual life. If the heart is unsettled, the plan will be unstable. The Bible also warns us about trusting our own understanding. That doesn't mean God forbids thinking or strategy. It means he warns against self-directed wisdom that ignores his perspective. There are things that seem right to us, logical, reasonable, efficient, yet lead us away from what God is actually forming in us. Planning without prayer doesn't just risk wrong outcomes, it shapes the wrong kind of heart. Many Christians ask, what do I want to accomplish this year? But Scripture asks a deeper question. Who is God shaping you to become? Goals focused only on achievement often neglect transformation. God is far more interested in your character than your calendar. You can accomplish much and still grow very little spiritually. Jesus never rushed people into decisions. When someone wanted to follow him quickly, he slowed them down and revealed the cost. He understood something we often forget. Clarity before commitment prevents regret later. If you don't pause before planning, you may commit to things God never assigned to you. Another biblical principle we often ignore is seasonality. Ecclesiastes reminds us that there is a time for everything. Not every year is meant for expansion. Some seasons are for healing. Some are for pruning. Some are for waiting. When you force goals that don't match your spiritual season, you fight God instead of walking with him. Planning without discerning your season leads to frustration. You try to build when God is asking you to rest. You push when he is inviting you to trust. You chase growth when he is forming roots. Scripture shows that fruit comes from abiding, not striving. This is why the first step before setting any New Year goals should not be a planner, it should be prayerful examination. David prayed, "Search me, O God, and know my heart." That is not a weak prayer, it is a courageous one. It invites God to reveal motives, distractions, wounds, and misalignments before they turn into misdirected goals. God is not against goals. He is against independence disguised as ambition. When goals are surrendered, God refines them. When plans are offered humbly, God redirects them. Proverbs says that many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. The question is not whether God's purpose will stand, it's whether your plans will align with it. Another reason to stop before planning is this: obedience always comes before clarity. Many believers wait to feel fully confident before obeying, but Scripture shows the opposite. God often reveals the next step only after the heart is surrendered. Planning too far ahead can become a way of avoiding trust. When Israel gathered manna, they were not allowed to store it for the future. God was teaching them dependence, not long-term control. In the same way, God may not give you a full-year vision before he has your full heart. And that is not punishment, it is formation. If you plan without surrender, success will not satisfy you. You may reach goals and still feel empty. Scripture warns that gaining the world while losing the soul is a tragic exchange. That doesn't only apply to wealth. It applies to years filled with activity but lacking intimacy with God. Before you write goals, ask better questions. What is God pruning? What is He healing? Where is He asking for obedience instead of effort? What distractions need to be removed before direction becomes clear? These questions align the heart before they shape the calendar. God's will is not hidden from those who are willing to obey it, but it is often hidden from those who want control more than guidance. When you stop before you plan, you are not wasting time, you are honoring order, and God honors order. This year does not need more ambition, it needs more alignment, more listening, more surrender. Planning after prayer doesn't limit your future, it protects it. So before you plan, stop. Invite God into the process. Let Him correct, refine, and redirect. Because a year aligned with God's will, even with fewer goals, will bear more fruit than a year filled with plans He never asked you to pursue. And that is not just wise, that is biblical.